Hello there, everybody, and thank you for being here at Stream Queens Cons. I am Marisol Lords. I will be your moderator for the Vamos panel. It is a panel of Latinx, Latin, and Hispanic heritage. I'm joined by a lot of famous people within our community, at least. um, I will
There we
go
go.
ahead. I'm Marisol Lords. I use they, them pronouns. I play a lot of Dead by Daylight Fortnite. I do lip syncs and all that jazz, and I will be continuing by introducing our panelists for the day. We'll go ahead and start with Hydro.
Hi, my name is Hydro. He, they pronouns. I'm a horror game streamer, so a lot of Dead by Daylight with the occasional horror story games thrown in there. Hello, happy to be here.
Victoria.
Hello, everyone. I'm Victoria Monroe. I am a proud multiracial ace trans queen here on Twitch. I haven't streamed in quite a bit, but when I do stream, I do play a variety of games, so that's fun. And I play GCRP a lot offline, so yeah.
Love to see it. Her.
Hi, I am Hermaphrodita. My content right now is in question because I actually don't know what I'm doing. But well, I just play whatever I feel like. And yeah, thank you for inviting me, and I'm happy to talk about me.
Our favorite subject.
Yes. Me.
Gabe.
Hola, mi gente. My name is Gabe Pride. I am one of the newest members of Team Stream Queens. On my channel, I like to play a lot of Nintendo and some PC games. Right now, playing a lot of Splatoon 3. It's a lot of fun. I also get into drag on stream. So yeah, that's a little bit about me.
Love to see it. Elix.
Hola, mis amores. I'm Elix. I mostly play all things horror on my stream, well known for Dead by Daylight and playing a lot of Nasty Hag. I am a first generation Mexican American, and my pronouns are any out of drag, but in drag, it is only she, her.
Ooh, her. Now that we have our introductions out of the way, let's jump right into it. First question for all of the panelists. What is your nationality? Whoever would like to go first.
I'll go first. Hi, I am Brazilian, Afro Latino to be specific. My parents are both from Brazil. I'm first generation Canadian. Yeah, that's my background.
Well, I go second then. I am Colombian, and I actually just recently moved to the US 4 months ago. So I am 100% Colombian. And yeah, also Afro Latina and very proud.
I'm a first generation Mexican American. I'm from Mexicali, Baja California. Both my parents are from Mexicali, Baja California. Well, no, one of them's from Jalisco and the other one from Nayarit, but they grew up in Mexicali, Baja California. So yeah, I guess 100% Mexican, although I just got my 23andMe results and it kind of told me that I was a Neanderthal, and I'm still trying to get over that. Kind of fucked up.
Oh my God. I guess I'll go. My nationality, I am Puerto Rican. I actually did grow up here and lived pretty much all my life here in the States. But my father, mainly his side of the family, they've all been kind of based in Puerto Rico. And yeah.
And saving the best for last, I am third generation American. I am Puerto Rican and Cuban, 50-50. Puerto Rican on my dad's side, Cuban on my mother's side.
Nice. And the best for last is obviously me. Kidding. For those of you who don't know, for those of you who haven't joined us for the past 2 years, I've been the moderator for 3 years running now. I am Peruvian born, not necessarily raised, because I was raised in Miami Beach for most of my life. Woo! Speaking of 23andMe's, everybody look under your chairs, Everybody, a surprise, a 23andMe packet for you.
Imagine.
Right now.
I knew someone was in my house last night, Marisol.
let's get into to some upbringing now that we kind of got the nationality taken care of. The question goes for our entire panelists. We'll go one by one. For those of you who were born outside of the United States and Canada, what was kind of like your upbringing like with your nationality, with your culture, versus those who were born in the US and Canada? I will start with Gabe.
Yeah, so for me, my upbringing was a lot of I did not get the chance to know my culture as a Puerto Rican or Cuban. I was born in Florida, but I moved very early on into the Southeast, almost in the country. I didn't get the opportunity to meet a lot of other Latino people, be exposed to the culture. Every summer, I would go down to Florida and I would see my abuela, and she would, teach me a little thing here and there. But, just unfortunately, growing up, I didn't have that connection to my culture. I'm trying to change that. I have started learning Spanish. I am no longer a no sabo kid. Um, I'm trying to get connected with Latino communities. I have been successful with that. So it's just, an ongoing process. It's never too late to connect with a part of your heritage, I feel like.
Loves it. Yes. Moving to Elix.
Oh, mine's kind of tricky. Like, I see myself like born and raised in Mexico, but technically, my mom came to the States and had an accident. She was pregnant with twins. I was one of them. I know there's two of us running around identical. Can you believe? But the moment, they figured out they couldn't afford the hospital here, they went back to Mexico where they had a house. And so I was kind of raised there for the first 7 years of my life, which I kind of remember vividly, which is weird because people tell you you don't remember anything before the age of 5. And I kind of remember everything starting the age of 3. But I don't know, my upbringing there, I remember it was very hot. Mexicali, Baja California is known for being extremely, extremely hot. I think it gets up to 130 degrees there. I don't know, I just remember having the most fun as a kid growing up in Mexicali, going to El Mundo Divertido, La Cachanilla, and we would go to the Cachanilla because we were like dirt poor. And if you don't have an air conditioning, you kind of like fucking die there or something. So you got to go somewhere and stay cool. And that was La Cachanilla, which is a mall in Mexicali. Then we moved to the States when I was around 7 or 8. I started, I believe, second grade here. And yeah, it was just a crazy cultural difference. But that was kind of my upbringing. I was kind of raised in Mexico for the first few years of my life, and then mostly then raised in Orange County, California.
No.
Do we have anyone from Mexicali, Baja California in chat?
Oh,
Represent?
no.
No? Let's give
We
them a
looked at
few
that.
seconds. But yeah, I'm done.
I don't know how much the lag is between Google Meet and the actual chat itself. I was like, someone type a 1 right now when you see this.
Type of one, if you know what Mexicali, Baja California is.
We wait forever.
No, I'm done.
1. Oh, not
There
Oh
we
my
too
God,
go.
There you
Liz,
go.
chat.
Come
Oh
on.
my
Oh,
God.
There you
Rio
go.
gal.
Rio, you're from Mexicali? I thought you were white. Okay, work.
Oh my God.
There's about, I would say, like maybe like a 10-second delay between us and them. Not too bad. Not too bad. Low latency, if you will. Moving on to Victoria.
So actually I actually kind of relate with Gabe, honestly. My upbringing with my father's side of the family wasn't entirely too good. Unfortunately, a lot of things that happened on that side of the family pushed me away from trying to educate myself on my nationality. I did have one great grandmother who, unfortunately to this day, she's no longer with us. But she was, she always wanted me to call her abuela. Anytime you step in her house, she does not want to hear anything English. It's nothing but Spanish. So, the very few times that I did go over her house a lot, one, I always went there for the food because, hello, Puerto Rican food is just amazing. And also, I just love to see her company, even though half the time I couldn't understand her. I'm like, yeah, exactly. But I loved her so much. And, I did try to learn a few things here and there from her. But, I'm still at a crossroad right now in my life where I'm still trying to educate myself more on my nationality because I didn't really give myself a chance back when I was a kid.
I love that you're trying to give yourself that chance now. You can.
Exactly. Never too late, just like you said.
Drought.
So I thought I had a unique experience, but mine is very similar to Elix's. I was born in Canada, and then when I was 2, we moved to Brazil. We lived in Paraná for until I was around 7 years old, and then we moved to Boca Raton in Florida, which also lived there for the rest of my life until I came back to Canada. So I feel very integrated in my own community and with the Brazilian culture because I spent a lot of time in Brazil as a kid. And then even when I moved to Boca Raton, all of my mom's family is there, and she has 18 brothers and sisters. So we had our own little Brazil in our own community kind of thing. So I was very integrated into everything that we do. But when it comes to food, speaking, even though I was raised to speak English and then Portuguese in Brazil, then English again in the States. Now I can't speak either language very well. But basically, yeah, it's a pretty cool experience. I like that I know my culture and that I'm part of it.
Vita?
Me?
What was your
Oh,
upbringing like?
Well, I basically had my family is huge in Colombia. I was born in Colombia, raised in Colombia, as I mentioned before. I just moved here to the US, and my family, in a way, it's a mix of everything because we have my family is half indigenous, half black, and then within my whole family, it's also been a different culture. So my mom raised me different for what I would think Colombian most likely would behave or would expect. Especially if the Latino culture with a woman, what I'm supposed to do, what my dreams are. But yeah, my mom, when she was pregnant, we are from the border between Panama and Colombia. And then in that time, it was very dangerous because we know the history of some war crimes and stuff. And my family had to move out of our town to the city where I'm from. It's Medellin, Colombia. And then from there, but my mom kind of never got to stay in one place. So I'm basically when I mean I'm Colombian, I literally live almost every city in Colombia. I know. So but most of the time I got to spend every Christmas, every special time I got to go to my grandma's house in Cartagena, Colombia. And my grandma was a second mother to me. And when they tell you, if you've seen Encanto, it's Colombia. I can confirm. It is your abuela is everything. Your family, my family at least raised me to see my grandmother as my everything, and then it's my mom. Your grandma will always be first for some reason, and then your mother is there. But yeah, that's basically my upbringing was a lot of family related, but for some reason somehow very independent at the same time.
Wow. You said you lived in every almost every city in Colombia. Did you live in Cali or Palmira by chance?
I didn't live in Cali, but I been in Cali many times. And when I was very little, I was 5, which actually something that Elitz mentioned. It's very funny because I remember a lot of stuff when I was 3.
Yes, mama.
For all of these places that I've been in, I remember, or there is a song that I listen to, and I'm like, wait, I was 3 when I heard this song, and I remember, and it brings me back to those places. So I lived to in a town very close to Cali. But it was only for a year, and I was 4 or something like that. But I've been to Cali many times. Yeah.
Oh. And for panel, I keep hearing a lot of Florida because I'm in Florida now. So we have Dro that lived in Florida, Gabe that lived in Florida. Did anyone else live in Florida? Who lives in Florida? Dox yourself right now. Put a number 2 in the chat.
I almost went to Florida for my birthday last year, but we went to New Orleans because I don't know, something happened with the flights.
No, that's
We were gonna go to Miami.
Oh,
I want to
wow.
go to Florida.
Me too. I want to go to
Yeah,
Miami so bad.
come
Yeah.
visit me. I got you. I'll take good
Yes.
care of you.
Booking my
Um,
flight right now.
oh, a little bit more about me. My upbringing was kind of similar. I was born in Peru, raised there in between a couple cities in the north and the south. Kind of until I was 4 years old. My mother actually applied to one of the last few loterias, lotteries that you could do to get a visa in the United States, mainly because my grandpa and he brought two of my aunts with him. And they were like a family of like 6 total. So everybody else stayed in Peru for the most part. So my mom really wanted us to have a change of pace, a change of life, and applied to get a visa. Got it. Brought me and my dad there. We lived in Miami Beach until I graduated high school, and then I moved up north for college, which is where I'm currently at. No more college, but still kind of here. But I would say that my upbringing is kind of weird because living in Miami, you do get a lots of different cultures from all over the world. You get Cuban, Puerto Rican, Brazilian, Venezuelan, Colombian, Panamanian, surprisingly. And it's really nice being able to grow with multiple cultures, but at the same time, being Peruvian, us Peruvians, we have a culture of our own, but it's very, I would like to use the word muted. Like growing up, I didn't have a Peruvian accent per se because I was surrounded by such big personalities of like countries, and I would go back every summer, visit until I reached high school. Then I started doing other things, but I also like I've been to Colombia because I come from a divorced family, and my stepmother and stepsister are from Colombia, and they were able to take me there and like be a part of that culture for a summer, which was really nice. Um, speaking of different cultures and bringing us to our next segment, something a little fun, something a little flirty. Let's talk about some things that you can find within your nationalities, in terms of like food, drinks. Like, does anyone have like a favorite dessert or a favorite food that just like reminds them of home, like wherever that may be? And if so, what is it?
I can start with that. For me, definitely, and I don't think this is strictly just for Puerto Ricans, but just any kind of plantains,
Cool.
tostones, maduros.
Yes.
And that wasn't something I had growing up. I had to learn, what is this green banana that I find at the Latin markets, and how can I use it? Yeah, I was just researching, and yeah, tostones are probably one of my favorite things to make. Super easy.
So
Um, on the opposite end, something traditional that I did eat growing up, picadillo. I hated it. I couldn't stand it as a kid. The one heritage dish that my parents used to make, and I couldn't stand it. Now I love it because I understand the history of it all. So those two things. For like desserts, flan is definitely one of my
Ooh.
favorites. You don't see that very often around, but I've learned how to make that, and that's really good. And the last thing that I'll mention, which is the perfect time of year now that we're going into the holiday season, it's this Puerto Rican drink called coquito. It's
Mm.
Oh,
basically Puerto Rican
yes.
eggnog.
I
Oh my
need.
god, they know, they know.
Mhm.
It's one of my favorite things to make. You can make it alcoholic or not alcoholic. For those that are above the age of 21. It has like rum and I think like some kind of dark liquor, but yeah, those are definitely some of my off the top of my head favorite and least favorite dishes that I've had from my culture.
Mhm.
Ooh. I move it on to Victoria.
Yeah, Gabe definitely said something I loved growing up and also loved getting older as well, like coquitos. Bitch, I will fuck them up. Okay. Tostones, like those were always so good. My grandmother also used to make she would fry up the bananas too. She would literally make like Spanish rice. Like she would go
Mm.
all out. And that's like literally like we might have not had like the best relationship. But literally everybody would always go over her house just for the food because she literally goes down. And like it's just the best. It's the best.
Ooh. Her.
Well, everything that my mom makes it's amazing. But I love soups in general because my family makes soups. Like everything can be a soup. in Colombia. So like we have ajiaco, which is one of my favorite soups ever. It's like a chicken soup with a cream, very unique, delicious. And one of my favorite ones, and I know the Colombians here will hate me for this, but I love mondongo, which is like, I don't know if you, it's very similar to mofongo. If you heard that, like it's kind of like a cat, the cow insides and stuff. It's a soup that I love and everyone hates. But it's one of the things that, and my mom and my grandma made like the most delicious one. But from Colombia, the things that I love the most is everything like the fruits. The fruits, we have so many fruits and so many like options. And in Semana Santa, which is like the Holy Week or the Eastern week, we make like every fruit can be like a dessert, and we make a sweet out of it. That's my favorite thing. And just to you get a mango, banana, or you get whatever fruit we have there, and you like put sugar in it, some cream, and that's a dessert. Like, and it's
Cool.
just so good. And I miss that, and I know I'm gonna miss it even more.
Are you able to make it at home where you are now?
Well, I can find some like bananas here, but like if I think about Colombian fruits, I would think more of like passion fruit, maracuya, which we have a
Mhm.
lot there, guayabas, and the like the guayabas here, they don't hit the same. They
No.
don't.
Same with
They
lulo.
yeah, lulo, for example, lulada is one of my favorite drinks in the whole world, and I think everyone should try that once in their life. It's gonna change their life forever. But yeah, lulo, I don't think I can find it here.
Yeah, I haven't been able to find. It's weird because coming from like going to the physically being in these places and having like such an easy access to it, to
Yeah.
then surprisingly coming here, which is like a jack of all trades of kind of like a country, and not being able to find anything. Like there's this one particular fruit in Peru called granadilla that I have not
Oh,
been able to find here, and it's kind of like a passion fruit, but like not really. And
it's sweet.
I haven't had it in over a decade, and it just
It yeah.
mm.
I mean, I'm also in Pennsylvania, so I don't think there's like a lot of Latino like markets and stuff here, or at least it hasn't feel like that now. So I don't think I'm gonna find all of these fruits that I think about.
You can go to the Hershey's factory. Maybe find a fruit there.
To the ketchup factory, no.
Ela?
Oh, well, donde empiezo? There's just so much. All right, so with drinks, my favorite traditional alcoholic beverage is probably a paloma, like a traditional paloma. I got my first paloma probably from my grandma from my dad's side. And that is like, okay, so like a traditional one is like grapefruit, tequila, but my grandma, my grandpa, he used to like make his own like tequila de caña and all that stuff. And so they would use that. And she had a grapefruit tree. Oh my, it was like from a fucking movie. Like, and so I was like 17 when I had my first Paloma, and it was the best Paloma I ever had. And so that's probably one of my favorite drinks, a Paloma. I love horchata, Jamaica. I think I'm more of a Jamaica person now than horchata. When I was like more little, I would say, horchata all the time, but Jamaica to me is just like, which is how do white people say, is that hibiscus?
Hibiscus, yeah.
Yeah, hibiscus, habibi. And
Wait,
so,
you have to say it with the accent. You have to hibiscus.
and just plain alcohol, I would have to say tequila. Oh my god, tequila. And again, like my grandpa, like he should have opened his own like tequila distillery or something. He had all of these just big white, or I mean big clear bottles of just pure tequila that he would make himself. And it was just so nice and smooth. So tequila is also one of my favorites. Moving on to food. I used to hate this. I think this was you, Gaib, that you said that like you used to hate something when you were younger and then now you love it. That was me with menudo. Like I hated menudo when I was growing up. I hated all soups when I was growing up. And then now that I've become kind of like old, I fucking love soups. Like especially a good menudo with a lot of extra tripe. Oh, just end me right now, please. Um I like the menudo that's a little thick. I don't like it too watery. I'm not much of a pozole fan. I feel like it needs more meat, or maybe I just haven't had the right kind. And also, one of my favorite dishes that my grandma from my dad's side of the family would make is, oh my God, mole. She would make a bomb ass red mole and a green mole too, which sometimes also
Mhm.
comes off as white. Oh, mwah. And okay, and one more last thing, I promise. If it can come back to my head. Birria. Birria, everything. But your traditional birria, where like, trigger warning, where you kill like the goat in your backyard and the whole family comes over and they do the birria and stuff, and they do the tacos and the quesadillas and everything. Something I miss so much that I've never experienced here in the United States is how all the family used to just get together at my grandma's house. She had a big house and we'd all be in a huge backyard where she'd have a huge freaking bonfire. They'd be cooking food out there and all of that, making that birria there, literally like I miss that so much. But yeah, birria is something. Whenever I eat birria, I think of my family. I wish I was still very, very close to them, but I've kind of been estranged for a little over 10 years. Just me being who I am is not that accepting with a lot of people when you grow up in a very traditional Mexican Catholic family. But I miss them all, and I would love to go back and say hi and maybe go to my grandma's house, rest in peace, and have a huge get together, like a little reunion, and have birria.
Dro.
I love food. So some of my
Let's
favorite
unpack
things,
it.
like as of like appetizer is like called what's it called? Sorry, I'm blanking. Pastels or coxinas, which is just like deep fried pastry stuffed with like meat or chicken or cheese or
Ooh.
veggie, and it just so delicious. And in Brazil, we're very big on like churrascos or barbecues. So like picanha, which is like a part of a cow that is really popular in Brazil, or coração de galinha, which is the chicken hearts, which sounds gross, I know, but that on a skewer on a barbecue is just so good. And my parents always used to make something called a feijoada, which is something I also didn't like when I was younger, but I've grown to love throughout the years. Basically a bean soup, but with every part of a pig inside of it, and you serve that with some ahoys and some like plantain, and it's just so delicious. And then for a drink, they have this pop called Guaraná, which is like I was addicted to it as a kid. Like there's a bottle in my fridge. I'd be drinking that constantly. My mom gets so mad at me every single time. And I really miss the food because since my mom passed away, she was like the good cook of the family. So I don't really get the opportunity to like eat those kind of foods anymore. Luckily, I do live in Toronto in Canada, which is like a really big foodie city. So I can go to there's a bunch of different restaurants with different cultures here. But nothing really beats your mom's cooking, you know what I mean? I really, really do miss that for sure.
Definitely. Do you want to talk about what you made yesterday?
Oh, but yesterday I made like a white Thanksgiving dinner.
You said let's be national.
I really wanted a turkey, so I went and got like a 14-pound turkey. I never cooked a turkey in my entire life. It's a mashed potatoes, gravy, and it's like Christmas, Thanksgiving in December. Which is even worse because Thanksgiving in Canada is like in September. So it's way earlier than yours is. So it's really weird to be having that now, but I was craving it really bad.
Sorry. I was talking to the momagers. I'd be like, hey. Let's talk festivities. What is our fun things that y'all like to celebrate that might like be Latin Hispanic like all together, or kind of like your favorite holidays, like just fun times to cherish either by yourself or with others. Kind of starting it off with let's start with her.
Oh, hi.
Festivities. Okay.
Well, there is a special day. It's actually the December 7th. Is something called Dia de las Velitas in Colombia. I don't know if it's celebrated anywhere else in Latin America, but in Colombia, it's technically it's a religious thing where we all like come outside of our houses and we light up candles to like light the path for the Virgin Mary because she's on her way to give birth to baby Jesus. So I'm not religious, but the Latin American culture usually is very religious. But what I love about that festivity, and I was actually thinking like I have to do that here because that's like something part of me that I really need to like go outside and light up candles. People might think I'm crazy because it's like, what's going on? But what I love about it, it's because that was the special time where all of my family used to like meet up. My grandma had 17 kids. So we'll like all of my uncles have 4 kids. So imagine the reunion, the 7th of December in my grandma's house. That was crazy. And then my grandma will put a huge pot, making the biggest soup ever outside in the streets. And then just like put in rocks and fire, and then just put some water and something will cook out of it. It's something to me that means so much that it goes beyond the religious part. It's just like just turning that candle that night to me represents a lot. And I'm getting emotional because my grandma passed away a few weeks before I moved to the US, and she meant a lot to me. And this is a lot, but just be like, this is the first time that I'm gonna do it without her, and it's one of those things that uh, just means a lot. Again, I need a break. Sorry.
No, it's okay.
You're
I
doing
feel
amazing, Mama.
yeah. I feel like we should take a moment of silence for those family members who we have lost that do mean so much to us, not only personally but culturally.
Yeah.
So everybody, let's just take a minute and take a moment of silence. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that with
Thank
us.
you.
I love you, her.
Thank you.
I love you so much.
I love you all too.
I said, Dro, would you like to continue?
Can you repeat the question? I got emotional.
Yeah, no. Are there any any festivities that y'all that like to celebrate either in your country or that you brought with you or that you know just fun times to share?
My parents were religious growing up, but it was more Christianity and not Catholicism, so it's a little bit different. So for me, we didn't really have a lot of traditions like that, but it's mostly just family get-togethers that we would do. Because I'm sure we all can relate. Because like her said, when we lived in Brazil or even in Florida, our houses were always open. And my mom would be cooking food extra just in case someone just dropped by, just because they want to drop by. You know what I mean? So we always just love getting together because it's always just a big family. Because like her family, my grandma had like 18 kids. All of them had 4 to 5 kids as well. So just like a huge family. And now I'm getting emotional because I lost both my parents this year within 6 months of each other. So this is something that like my mom was like a really big glue and rock when it came to these kind of events because like her family side was more like family. And it makes me sad that we don't get the opportunities anymore. Although I did get to go to Florida recently. I got to see like my mom's side of the family who I haven't seen in like 12 years, which I was really nervous for because I brought my partner. A lot of them just found out that I'm queer. But it was like really accepting, which was weird. I was a little bit awkward about it because I thought I was gonna be more defensive, but it was actually like really loving. So I'm just sad that I'm glad those opportunities are presenting themselves again because my extended family is reaching out, but it's so it makes me sad that I won't be able to have the same way that I used to, you know.
Definitely. Felix.
So I got really emotional too.
I'm so
I
sorry.
haven't had anyone recently. No. It's good emotion. It's for me. It's good emotion. Remembering, you know, the people I love that I've lost, like my grandparents, especially my grandmother, who was the only person who accepted me for the longest time. But something that I do to still, you know, keep it traditional, that aligns with the way I was raised, especially when I was in Mexico, is I just love being around my family. I love being around my family. Around Christmas is when everything, you know, would go down. I come from a huge family too. My dad's parents had 13 kids. My mom's parents had 11 kids. And so imagine how big the house is, would get packed. And so I just like to spend, you know, time with my parents, help my mom with, oh, it's something I didn't mention. I love a good thick champurrado or cebada or maicena. Oh my God. And so we're like drinking all of that while everything's cooking, playing some loteria, which is what we used to always do. The whole family would play loteria. I don't even know how they had so many damn cards and all the beans, the frijoles that you would use. And for those of you who don't know what loteria is, it's like bingo, but it has flavor. It's really
It
fun.
does.
And artistry, and it's lit. But no, that's what I try to do to, you know, not in the sense of experiencing what I used to experience when I was a kid living in Mexico, but so it takes me back. It's very nostalgic. It helps me really relive those memories, as much as I miss them and the people I love. And like losing someone doesn't just it never gets better. You learn to manage it. It always comes in waves. But you learn how to manage it when you remember the beautiful things that they did for you. You it's like they're there with you. You almost feel them, you smell them, you know they're around you. Just, remembering all the beautiful things you created with them. But yeah, that's how I keep my tradition and through my heritage alive.
This is a heart. I know you can't see it. Maybe now. Everyone put your hearts up. Victoria.
For me, I was never really a huge holiday person. Obviously, like at one point in my life, when I was a kid, it was every kid, it's very exciting. Holidays, Christmas, all that's very exciting, especially when you're with your family. But, once I got to a certain point in my life where I guess the little young me realized that life really isn't so peachy and positive, it just kind of went downhill from there. One thing that I did, I guess, kind of still bring with me though, that for the longest time I always questioned, like, why do they even do that? Is like my father's side of the family, they're very well known to, if someone passes away in the family, they grieve their own way. They don't, just take some time to themselves. They don't, keep they keep to themselves kind of thing. They don't just distance everyone. What they do a lot is just throw a party. And, you know, I always wonder, like, why are we throwing a party when someone in our family like just passed away? But I think the message behind it that I like learned as I got older was they're not celebrating that someone passed away. They're celebrating the fact that that individual is now in a better life. They're now, they're moved on. They're no longer going to feel any kind of pain. They're happy. They're at peace. And I like that. And it's weird because like there's been so many deaths in the family that I can't even count on both hands. But one thing I will say is, you know, a lot of the times when you're celebrating the loved ones that you've lost, a lot of times you may not feel like they're there, but they really can be there. Uh, to the point where I even one point, it was literally the day of my father's funeral, and we're all throwing a party, and they tell me, go ahead, go upstairs, take a shower. I'm like, I don't really want to. I don't want to go up there by myself. Like, I'm feeling a little down. Literally, the moment I go up there, like a whole like sheetrock just like slams on the ground. And it freaked me out. But like, I realized like that was my father. Oh my God. That was my father, like letting me know like he's still here. And oh my God. Even though like I never had a good relationship with my father because he always like teased me for, being different, it still is like oh God, it's still like it's your family, it's your blood. You have to love them at the end of the day. And yeah, rest in peace to him. I did not expect to get a little emotional, but yeah.
I think, sorry, I'm gonna interrupt here, but I think as Latinos are like taught so much to love our family that it like the reason why we get so emotional with it, and like it's because the memories that we have about our huge families that we're taught to love no matter what. You could have struggled a lot with them, but it's just your family. It's like the connection that you feel. I don't see that here. Like I see people, yes, they love their family, like the immediate relative, but what we know about family, I don't see it here. Like
Mhm.
what I think about family, I'm like, it's the people that I'm gonna love, and
Mhm.
like I'm gonna be broken when they're gone, no matter what.
Mhm.
because they are my family, and we're taught that, and that's why I think we're all getting very emotional thinking about it, and the nostalgic images of us being little with
Yeah.
huge families is just beautiful to me because it's part of our culture and our community.
And
Yeah,
I
Mama
also
do
feel with
nails
that,
that.
yeah, I feel with that too, us being queer, our love extends so much further beyond even what our family taught us, because I'm sure we all have our own experiences with our families, maybe not accepting or agreeing with the way we are, but we still love them unconditionally, you know?
Mhm.
So what I went through with my family and the things that happened in the past, like I would drop anything on a dime for them. It wouldn't have been the same way around, but I would have, you know?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, going back to the question of um festivities and traditions. Of course, growing up, I didn't have any traditional Latin festivities that I participated in. The most I can think of is, yeah, like you all were saying, the closeness of family and the importance in the Latino community was always pressed upon us by my grandmother, who I've been told is in the audience watching this. Hi, abuela.
Oh,
Um,
hola,
and even
abuela.
yeah, even
Hola,
now,
abuela.
Hola,
yes, everybody.
abuela.
Even now she still says like how important and how she feels like, unfortunately with this generation we're not seeing the importance of family, at least in some of my familial experiences. Some of them, just don't want to keep up like we used to when we were kids. We used to be so close, but now, it's not as important. Like we used to have these big holiday Thanksgiving get-togethers and Christmas get-togethers. One of the things that was a tradition for us was everybody got to open one present on Christmas Eve, which was always very special to us. They would be chosen for us by our grandparents, and we got to open it. Um, and then the only other tradition that I can think of, and I'm not sure if this is specific to Latino families, but on New Year's Eve, we would eat 12 grapes for good luck for
Yeah.
the new year. So that was another big tradition that kind of stand out for me, and I still like to participate in.
Every New Year and every grape for the way I was taught is a wish that you have to make, and you have to eat them
Yes.
all. I think it's is it the first minute of the new year? You have
Yep,
to
you
eat
gotta
them
scarf
all,
them
or they
down.
won't come true. They
Yeah.
will not come true. You gotta eat all those 12 grapes. I wanted to squeeze something in real quick from what her was saying. And I don't want to generalize everyone. This is just based on my experience. But when I came to this country, I still went to Mexico every single summer, every single Christmas, to spend the holidays there, probably till I was 15, 16. And just the passion in these get-togethers with your family in Mexico, or even think any other foreign country, is just there's just this passion and this bond you have with people. And I come to the States and I'll go to like there's family get-togethers, but I don't know, I don't see the love and authenticity that I would
Mhm.
see, with my Hispanic friends. I grew up in Orange County, which is, very Hispanic, very, Latinx, very Latino, Latine. Um and I would go and I would feel like I was home, but then I would go to like maybe my white friends' little get together and I'd be like, okay, yeah, yeah, I'm
Yeah.
gonna go, Nancy. I'm gonna go right now.
Not Nancy.
And then I'd call my mom and be like, "Ma, no vas a creer lo que estaban comiendo estos güeyes. No, blanco con un pinche pepino partido adentro. ¿Qué es eso? Y con mayonesa. Dios mío, me voy." Yeah, just want to squeeze that in real quick.
No, I was
Where's
gonna
the
ask.
flavor? We need flavor.
Mhm.
I was gonna ask
Yeah.
for the ones who celebrate like the whole grapes. When did you take the grapes? Because my mom always made me like get all 12 of them like in the last 12 seconds before, like
My
just like
mom
plowing
too.
down.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was before or after.
I would get the whole fucking like they had the whole plant, right? Or well, you know
Uh-huh.
how you buy it all in a bag, and I
Yeah.
mean it'd be washed, but they're not already plucked. Like you have to pluck them off from like the branch and stuff, and then start. Well, that's how I did it. That's how we did it.
We're all choking, trying to make wishes.
Yeah.
Prosperity, money, wealth.
Gotta eat them or those wishes ain't coming true. And then you get like bad luck or something. It's some voodoo hoodoo. And I'm not gonna question Mexican intuition and brujeria.
Mm-mm.
Well, in Colombia, people at 12 on New Year's, they go around with a luggage, and then you have to like walk around the block with a luggage so you wish for like a lot of traveling and trips for the next
Wow.
year. And it's a very weird tradition, but it's very common to see like people at 12 o'clock, they're just like running around the whole block with their luggage. And you're like, for another person, it will be like, what is going on? But for me, it's like, yeah, they're wishing for their next trip for next year. It's
I've never
common.
heard that. I love that. That's so
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah. It's a very Colombian thing.
So moving into our next segment, we have time, but we don't have a lot of time. Before we take questions, going into some media representation. Growing up, have you been able to see yourselves represented in media, whether that be video games, TV, movies? If not, what do you think there could be in terms of improvement? And I'll just open it up, whoever wants to kind of go in.
I could start. As an Afro Latina, I think it's a difficult question, I would say, because you see yourself represented either or. It's never both. So it's kind of like I never see someone that I say like, oh my God, that's an Afro Latina, and then it also there is a Latina or a Latine, there's people like, yes, there's something about me there, but also it's not me. And it also shows the people, or it kind of disregard the fact that Black people are also in Latin America in a way. So it's kind of, I've been like, I appreciate how media has changed a little bit more now, especially with Colombian representation, because we are tired of the representation of the drug cartels and the same thing. Like, we get it, we got it. But now it's a little bit more of like just Latinos existing in their life and stuff, but it's never a Black Latino. So it's kind of like, it's halfway there for me.
Mhm.
I would say in video games, the only Afro Latino character that I know is Miles Morales, the Spider-Man. And it was very interesting and emotional for me when I saw him like speaking Spanish and then with his mom, but then also being Black and unapologetic. I was like, I love this because we exist here. But again, I'm satisfied in a way, but it feels like it's halfway there because it's always one or the other. Like I have to choose either be represented as a Black person or as a Latino, which sucks.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I'll bounce off her if that's okay. Because as an Afro Latino as well, I feel the same exact way. Me and her had like extensive conversations about this. How either both of my identities are now represented in one. It's always one or the other. So like when Nicanto came out, it was very cool to see the Afro Latino family running around. I was like, that's like me and my
Yeah.
siblings running around the house right there. But in terms of like, even though like I agree, I see myself in certain parts of like a lot of things, never it together. So I wish that would be the case. But I didn't even know about the Spider-Man character because I don't really watch that kind of stuff. But I don't really see that unless I like absorb like Brazilian or Latin like TV. There's more representation, but not so much in North America. I feel like they put a lot more of like white Latinos or Latinx people, but not so much the Black side of things, which is just
Mm-hmm.
how it is up here. So
I'll go
Um,
next, if you don't mind. Representation for me has always been hard because up until a recent point in my life, I never felt like I could identify myself as Latino, Puerto Rican, Cuban. For me personally, I never felt like I looked Puerto Rican or Cuban enough. I wasn't culturally in the Latino community enough. So seeing representation for me, it was like, well, and this is me looking at myself. If I don't feel like I'm good enough to be a part of the Latino community, it's hard to see that representation. Like, am I even good enough to be represented? Or, you know, it's hard to find representation when you don't know who you are. So I'm
mhm.
still finding myself, and hopefully I can find representation in TV, movies, video games going forward.
I can kind of relate with what Gabe said. I even still to this day, no, I feel like I've gotten a little more accepting of it, but for so many years, I did wonder where I fit because, as a multiracial individual, it was like being on my father's side, which is specifically just Puerto Rican, and I don't really speak Spanish. It's like I don't feel like I belong there. And then it's like trying to go into a crowd, even like in Spanish festivals, like I'd be trying to go there, like talking to the kids, trying to play with the kids, and they're just looking at me like I have like 6 heads. And I'm like, okay. Then I try to go to like, I don't know, like let's say like some random festival, like just I guess let's just say filled with like a lot of like, white people. I feel like I've always felt like I was a little out of the crowd because I'm like, I just don't feel like I fit, you know? And that's like one thing I have always struggled with so many years. Like, where do I belong? And then it's also like, should I even be asking my question, like myself that, like, where do I belong? Like, who cares where I belong? As long as I'm just being like me and I'm just being true to myself, I feel like that's what should matter. Um, but it definitely was something I am still trying to figure out,
For me, currently, representation in the media. I feel like Miles is a perfect example. I feel like that's a very dynamic, rich character with their background, and there's representation left and right. But it's very rare to see it right now in the media, online, wherever it may be, whatever entertainment platform. It's very rare to find stuff like that. I think we're making a good step forward. I think the media is, but most of the characters out there are just black and white. There's no substance. It's just
Mhm.
it's almost sprouted from stereotypes.
Mhm.
And I know people, you know, I don't know if it's all white people in a room and they don't have someone who is of color that can, say something and say, actually, no, that's kind of offensive. I'm not going to mention any names. Twitch, when they put sombreros and maracas on all of my emotes, I remember that. That was kind of messy. I didn't even know they were using my emotes. I wish they gave me a heads up. And I would have told them, like, that's a little, that's a little controversial, babes.
Yeah.
But just like Overwatch has Sombra, and I love Sombra, but the character's a little, like she's not a really dynamic character. There's again, we're going with stereotypes, but I do love what gaming and just the entertainment industry is doing. God, I was watching this film the other day. This I can't remember the name of this indie film, and it was all Hispanic. It was all Latina characters, and I could just relate so much with the writing and everything. I'm like, this is dynamic. This isn't just lip service, and I love that. And I want to see a lot more of that. I think the industry is making a good step forward, but we're not there yet.
Mhm.
Mhm.
It'd be really cool too if they could show different aspects of the culture from different parts of like South America.
Yes.
Because, for example, when Encanto came out, Encanto is very much like the Colombian side of things, right? So even though I related to it in the sense that like this Latinos and everything, it's not my culture.
Mhm.
So when people would come up to me, it's like, "Oh, I watch Encanto. I get what you went through as a kid." I'm like, "Baby, that's like not my like traditions. Like what I went through as a kid. I didn't go through that. You know what I mean?" So it'd be cool if they could show all parts of the heritage down there instead of just like some or nitpick some. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Mhm.
I was gonna make a joke about like, don't you have like Rio to relate?
A
The
bit stereotypical, but yes.
Can't get away from it. Going. I think we have time for some Q&A before we go. If anybody wants to get your questions now, please use the channel point redemption. It takes, I think, 500 channel points, which means that you've been watching for like at least 10 minutes. Please get your questions in now. I do have a question thus far. It is what's the worst food atrocity you've seen someone do to a food from your culture?
Oh.
Anything on the Taco Bell menu, Jesus Christ. Oh my God. Anything on the Taco Bell menu, anything. My God. And the taste, ooh.
If anyone wants to go.
I don't know if there's like, I don't think they will ever get it right. Like honestly, here they will never get it right because they don't have the ingredients and the same thing that we have back there. So sometimes I know some people try. I had experience here where people are like since I moved, they're like, oh, I know you miss your culture, so I want to cook something for you. And I'm like, don't, please don't, because I know it's gonna be bad. I'm like, no, it's fine. I mean, but yeah, I would say like anything, especially with tacos. And I'm not Mexican, but there's this thing that like every restaurant that has Latino food, there's always tacos. And
Tacos.
I'm like, yeah, cool. But tacos are not like every Latinos don't eat, like
Mhm.
tacos are not Colombian. So you cannot come up with like just tacos in a Colombian restaurant or something. So it's it's not offensive, but I'm like, you just need to do a better research.
Mhm.
Yeah, I agree with that. There's this restaurant unnamed. I won't name names. It is owned by a non-Latino person, but it is categorized as Puerto Rican soul food. And they have empanadas, and I was really excited to go. Big empanada, this little bit of meat. I felt
Ooh,
so
big.
disrespected, and they had no idea what they were doing.
They do that with
So
tamales too, and that's just sacrilege to me. Le embarran un pedacito
no,
de carne, not even the meat, just a little bit of sauce. And it's like, these are supposed to
carnito.
be like de res, and I'm just like, oh, wow, okay.
For me, it's going to actual Peruvian restaurants, at least in my city. I live in northern Florida, so I don't expect much. And I didn't even know there was Peruvian food up here. But like I placed an order for like my favorite type of food. And I've cooked it myself, and even I can't cook it. And then I went there and it was worse than what I cooked. And I said, $20 for this?
$20 for that.
$20 for this? Okay. um let's
Yeah.
we do not have that much time left. I'm gonna kind of go around. We're gonna do some closing statements, as well as some final outros. Plug in any projects that you have coming up or anything that you like, and then one last question for everybody to answer while they're doing their outro. What makes you proud of your culture? So I'll go ahead and start with Victoria.
Okay. Well, you all can find me, of course, here on Twitch, over at EXO Victoria Monroe XO. You can also follow me on Twitter at EXO Victoria Monroe XO, and you can also follow me on Instagram at EXO Victoria Monroe XO. Same thing with TikTok. Same thing with YouTube. And there's some other things that I won't plug on here. But
Oh.
yeah, if you have the link to the link tree, yeah, you can find that. But what makes me happy, what makes me proud about my nationality though is honestly, given the amount of hardships that I've gone through in my childhood, and even still to this day, I just really appreciate and I'm proud of the fact that yeah, a lot of your family members might want you to be the stereotypical masculine, muscled up, man type of thing. But at the end of the day, no matter what, they'll still love you and they'll still be there for you at the end of the day. That's one thing I really value and I'm proud of. Um, I can't say that about some other families that I've been in, but that's one thing I definitely am very proud of.
Gabe?
Yeah, so to plug myself, you can find me at twitch.tv/Gabe Pride, Twitter at Pride Gabe, Instagram Gabe Pride. I will be a part of the Stream for a Cause drag pageant coming up in January, raising money for a charity of my choice. So if you want to stay tuned, follow my social medias to keep up to date with that. What makes me proud of my heritage? This is just gonna be a general overall, all the Latino cultures, how accepting they've been, whether it be Mexicans, Puerto Ricans, Cubans, Hondurans, just when I try to practice my Spanish, how accepting they are that I'm trying to better myself and be a part of that heritage. So that's what I would say.
Her?
Well, you can find me on Twitch as her_Mafrodita, and I think in every platform, her_Mafrodita. And yes, again, is Hermaphrodita, not Maphrodite, because it happens a lot. And well, something that I'm very proud of my culture, speaking from my experience, I think how open we are to learn, because as Latinos endure so much that we are now willing to learn and change many things about and accept when things need to change. At least from my family and from my perspective, people are willing to learn, and that's something that I'm proud of.
Love. Dro.
Hi, you can find me at twitch.tv/Hydro or anywhere else it's Hydro Official because my name was taken. And what I love about my culture is that like it's taught me how to be loving and accepting, how we all are like that. Because like when I met her at TwitchCon, that's my mana now, baby. That's my sister. And how quick we get to connect with each other and other people is amazing. And like it just really makes me happy and fills my heart with joy.
Love. Elix.
Hey, you guys, you can find me here as Elix on Twitch, everywhere else, ElixTTV, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, and I think Hive now. No, Hive, I'm just Elix. What I love about how I was brought up and just people who are like me is probably our resilience, especially for those who are immigrants that immigrated here to this country because it's not a very welcoming country. You're probably, introduced to a lot of racism, discrimination, but to still push through, excuse me, to still push through because of your resilience and endure that with that extra layer of anxiety because you don't understand the language, you don't know how to defend yourself, and to still pull through and be successful and do what you want to do. That's what I take so much pride in, from my nationality, my heritage.
Love. And I have been Marisol Lords. You can find me on Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, maybe a YouTube, MARISOLLORDS. You can also follow all of the panelists, including myself. If you click on the green heart on the screen, the dynamic follow button, it does have all of our Twitches linked. So make sure you're giving each and every one of these creators a lovely follow. Support us if you support Latin culture. And above all else, Twitch, if you want more Latin partners, I am available. And that concludes our panel. Everybody wave bye to the camera. We'll see you next
Bye.
year.
Adios.
Bye.